Have you ever experienced a friendship breakup that felt like losing a piece of yourself? Or are you possibly experiencing that feeling in your gut that someone in your life right now may not be best for you and where you want to go? In this video, we're going to cover what a friendship breakup is, some tips on getting through them without causing harm or being hurt, and how to build your soul circle 5 that will change your life. If you haven't yet, subscribe to our channel where we cover everything addiction recovery and personal growth tips to live by. Friendship breakups are vital in many different seasons of life, if we want to become the person we were meant to be or the person we desire to be. Some people come into your life for a reason, and some come into your life for a season. It's important we recognize the difference between them and respect everyone on our journey while they go on their own. Your soul circle 5 are the 5 people you spend the most time with that have the most influence on you. Jim Rohn once said, "You are the sum average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." In my first year of recovery, I was sitting in an airport and heard him say this while I was listening to a video while waiting for my plane. I happened to really like math and decided to pause the video and write out the names of the 5 people I had spent the most time with over the last month or so. For each of them, I wrote down the 3 topics of conversation I had with them the most, the 3 emotions I associated to them having the most, and the income I believed they were making per month. Believe it or not, the 3 conversations that showed up the most between all 5 were the thoughts I was having most often at that time. The 3 emotions that showed up the most were what I was feeling basically 100% of the time. Then, a real practical one that cannot be faked. I took all 5 monthly incomes, added them together, then divided by 5 to get the average income, and it was almost exactly what I was making at that time. A lot of people like to think they are not able to be negatively influenced by people, and they are that strong-willed. Well, this thought is foolish because all the data shows the exact opposite. For instance, a study done by Nicholas Christakis and James Fowler found that if a friend becomes obese, you are 45% more likely to gain weight over the next few years. And if a friend smokes cigarettes, you are 61% more likely to smoke. Taking it to another level that is pretty insane to think about, if a friend of a friend becomes obese, you are still 20% more likely to gain weight. And if a friend of a friend smokes, you are 29% more likely to smoke. Not only do your friends influence you, but your friends' friends influence you. So watching the company your company keeps is about half as important as watching and intentionally building your own Soul Circle 5. If you want to go a little deeper with me in the concept of your Soul Circle 5, I wrote an article called Friendventory for Addiction Treatment Magazine that I have linked in the description below. Now, humans are only capable of keeping a certain amount of connections at any given time. I'm not talking about social media friends, but the real ones you speak with and see on a regular basis, and keep up to date on what is going on in each other's lives. People have varying levels of ability in this realm, but for the sake of simplicity, we're going to assume we only have the capacity to really hold deep connections with 5 people. I want you to imagine these 5 fingers are the closest 5 relationships right now in your life. Are there any that stick out to you that may either be pulling you down with the conversations you keep with them, or are they down a lot of the time, which brings you down, or possibly one of them is doing significantly less in life than the other 4, and you want more? As long as you keep this one in your life, your mind does not have the capacity to look at a new, more rewarding and fulfilling relationship to fill this slot. So, this one that is pulling you down must be consciously and emotionally removed in order to open up space for a non-toxic relationship. I have intentionally worked on this on an annual basis for the last 6 years, and I can tell you the impact is almost immediate. The toll a toxic relationship has on us is astounding. Like the stats we talked about before, each relationship we know is toxic is doing something to our life that is impacting us negatively. Only you know who is adding and who is subtracting from your life. You are the only one who can decide who and when to have a friendship breakup. Quick disclaimer, people can bring more into your life than thoughts, emotions, and money. Those things are easy to gauge for this breakdown, but some friends are the type that spark creativity in you, or healthy living with the gym or rock climbing, or any one of 100 other things. Now that we understand the importance of the people we keep around us, we also need to understand the impact of friend breakups and the right way to make them. Whether you're on the side of not being able to reach an old friend anymore, or you're in the position of needing to break off from someone, there is a way to do this without causing unjust harm or emotional impact. I am a huge proponent of staying in close contact with your soul circle 5. A way to do this is to intentionally have a day and time you contact each one of them. You can put it down in your calendar and just call them around that time every week or every other day, however you decide. This keeps your connection close and shows them you believe they are important in your life. Your soul circle 5 should also be the ones you should always answer for or text them when you will be able to call them back. Again, it is about building a secure relationship with them. Interestingly enough, this works for the opposite effect as well without having to have a hurtful conversation with someone telling them you can't continue the connection. If you have identified a person in your 5 that you shouldn't have there anymore, don't call them anymore. I know it's hard sometimes when you may not have anything to do and feel bored, but it is better to have no company than bad company, and you will learn to fill this time with something more productive, like looking for another person to fill that space. By not calling to hang out, you are merely taking them out of your own mind by deciding not to call. This subconsciously opens that slot up in your mind to start accepting friend applications or whatever. What you will notice is more often than not, these kinds of friends aren't the ones that initiate communication, and you will move on without ever having to go any level further with the breakup. If they're the type that consistently contacts you, you are not required to pick up your phone and do their bidding whenever they call or text. You can keep answers short and even say things like, "I'm not interested in talking about that," or "I'm doing something else that day." I'm not telling you to lie to get out of conversations, but I'm telling you different levels of necessity for the breakup. After a few times of you being busy or not interested in talking about that, people that were toxic in our lives get the hint without being hurt too bad by it. Now, if there is someone you are having the breakup with that insists on having a conversation, honesty and boundaries are the most powerful tool. You have a boundary in this relationship. How can you have this conversation with them that could be an opportunity for mutual growth? It is not wrong to tell someone, "I am focusing on myself right now and some areas of growth I want to have in my life. I want to get healthier physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, and I'm not going to be available like I have been in the past. Maybe we can reconvene in 6 months or so and see where we reach at." This is a great one because maybe they will take it as a kick in the butt to get their own growth and life in order, and 6 months down the road, you can always reconnect on some level. Usually, people will understand this and that'll be the end of it. However, it is important to know that their emotions and thoughts from their interaction are not your responsibility. You don't need to explain anything else, but you can be with them on the call or in person and give them a hug. The most important thing for you is your boundary you decided to have and sticking to it. To recap, you are the sum average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Your soul circle 5 is who you have the capacity to keep close with, and friendship breakups do not need to cause harm. Try doing your own friend inventory and check out our website in the description for free resources for addicts and addicts in recovery. If you're a felon on a job hunt, watch this video here. And if you are working on your 4th step, click right here. Until I see you again, keep up the good work and keep living Recovered on Purpose.